Hi guys, Oliver G here from the Eiffel Tower, and I didn't think that this day would come, but I have to begin the podcast with an apology. June 6th, 2018, I wrote a blog post that's come back to haunt me, and I just want to apologize for this, what I've written, and set the record straight. The podcast was entitled The Top Paris Arrondissements for Tourists, ranked from worst to best. In it, the idea was that I'd promote my favorite arrondissements, and I guess I didn't think I was a bit cavalier at the time, but I ranked in last place, the 16th arrondissement. And these are the words that I wrote. I'll read them out. In 20th place, starting with the worst, the 16th. Yawn. Sorry, I fell asleep for a moment thinking about the 16th arrondissement. Sure, if you like seeing posh people with posh dogs at the end of posh leashes, then by all means head to the 16th. But otherwise, leave it as a place to retire if you're wealthy. Top tourist spot, Rue de Passy, for some people watching. Now, look, I got a bit of flack for it at the time, and rereading my own words from 2018, I'd give myself some flack too, because the 16th arrondissement is actually quite fascinating. And I've been there in the past couple of days walking around. Now that I live in the 7th, which is practically next door, I've been to the 16th and I've walked around it. And yeah, it is a little bit boring in terms of there not being any cool restaurants or cafes. But Paris in the lockdown means all the restaurants and all the cafes are closed anyway. So you start appreciating the districts for what they can offer visually for a long walk. And walking around the 16th the other day was just a stunning dive into fantastic architecture, interesting buildings, beautiful roads, mosaic-tiled street signs, and I got thinking, I need to know this place a little bit better. So, today's guest is Delphine Briere, a French woman who has lived for 22 years in this district. A little bit about Delphine. She's the founder of My Paris Touch. She's a bicultural entrepreneur. She helps people who have to untangle knots in Paris and France. She has also worked as a greeter, a tour guide. She knows the 16th arrondissement like the back of her hand, and she's going to talk us through it. To give you guys some quick perspective on the district, in case you have no idea what I'm talking about, it is in the western side of France. It's the biggest district in the capital, biggest of the 20 districts. Very residential. It runs along the Seine River and borders the Bois de Boulogne, the big forest on the side. Very peaceful, very quiet, quite out of the way for a lot of the tourists. I suspect a lot of you haven't been there, and I hope a lot of you will go there after listening to this show. I met Delphine in the Champ de Mars Park, sitting on a bench in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower, and we had a really fun chat. I'll be back at the end to talk about the walk show that I'm going to do with her this week, but let's get into it. This is the Eiffel Tower. My name's Oliver G, and I hope you accept my apologies. Delphine, welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
What do you think of the studio?
I think it's a great studio.
This is probably the best studio I've ever had today. We're sitting on the Champ de Mars. How's my pronunciation? Champ de Mars.
Yes, it's fine.
You say it.
Champ de Mars.
Champ de Mars.
Yes.
I don't think I say it like you say it. One more time.
Champ de Mars.
Champ de Mars. Okay, good. I've got it. And we're in the 7th/15th arrondissement here, I think, or maybe not.
I think it's only 7 because even this way is the 7.
Okay.
It's just the street after Suffren.
Right, okay. So we're in the heart of the 7th then. The Eiffel Tower, I can see it over my right shoulder. There's birds in the air. We're having a perfect Paris moment in the sun. But we're not going to talk about that.
No.
We're talking about the 16th. And before we get into that, we're going to mention your English, which you think is terrible, but I think is great.
Yeah, I have a very typical French accent when I'm speaking English, but I think it's cute. So,
I think every single listener will probably like it, so you're okay. And your English is much better than my French.
Okay.
Okay, so but how long have you been speaking English for?
I think I started at school when I was 12 or something.
12, okay.
But then I was better in German for a very long time because I spent a lot of time in Germany and Swiss Germany.
Okay, in Zurich.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of annoying, and now we're doing a podcast in English.
No, because now I'm speaking for my work and also for fun. I'm speaking more English than German.
Tell me, before we get into the topic, when you were at school in France, I hear a lot of people say that the teachers, especially with language learning, can be quite strict.
Yes, and sometimes they are not good. So my nephew started a new lycée in Paris this year,
Really?
and he was very surprised because his German teacher was a German, and it's the first time for him that the teacher, the language teacher, was the
Really?
nationality.
You would think in Europe that it would be easy to get a native speaker for the language classes.
Yeah, I think it will make a huge difference because for me it was not the case. Also, when I was in the college, they were not a native speaker. And it's
You know, when I was in high school in Australia, we had an Australian woman who taught us German and French. She was Australian. We called her Madame Jackson and Frau Jackson. Anyway, let's get to the 16th arrondissement.
Yes.
I have said it's perhaps not that interesting, and I think that made your blood boil to hear. Is that true?
Yeah, but I understand it why you say that, because it's the most common idea of people when we are speaking of the 16, and maybe the adjective you can hear is boring.
Mm-hmm.
It's too neat, and it's also very big, but the people don't wander there. They are not going so far after the Trocadero. I don't think they.
Do you mean
think
tourists or Parisians?
Even Parisian and tourists.
Okay, and didn't you say that there's like a word or a saying in French that you say about
Yes, we said when something is a bit up level, or I don't know, it's very 16. And when you say 16, it can refer to the way you are dressed.
Really?
The way you are speaking. That's a bit. It's rather negative.
Okay, so hang on. So how do you say it in French?
C'est très 16e.
C'est très 16e. So if I don't know. So if I'm having a coffee in the 11th arrondissement and some guy walks in very well dressed and speaks very posh, I could say, "Oh, monsieur, ça c'est très 16e."
Yeah, I think
if he was
we
a
can
friend,
do.
maybe.
Yeah, I think nowadays it's not so true than it was before.
Right.
Because the way we are dressed is more universal now.
Right.
But I think in the 60s, 70s, and so you can say that for women.
So it's kind of like saying, "Oh, that's very like a kind of negative way of saying, oh, it's a bit chic that."
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the 16th is a little bit like that because it's so like when I wrote a list of the best districts for tourists, and I ranked all 20.
Yeah.
But the best one was the 7th, where we're sitting now, because the Eiffel Tower and the Musée d'Orsay and everything. And then the last place was the 16th, because I just don't think that there was anything to do.
Oh, there are a lot of museums that are very cool.
So now we can begin with. Also, when I wrote that, I'd only been doing this stuff for like a year, so we can maybe forgive me.
Yeah. I know. I used to be a greeters in 16, and many people at the beginning were not happy when they discovered that.
Do you mean like you greeted the tourist that came to Airbnb or something?
Greeters, it's an association.
Okay.
It's they propose you are free, like you are working like a free guide.
Okay, I see.
And it's for it's like locals that make visited their neighborhood to tourists.
Okay.
And for each time it was a surprise because they never thought to come there.
So why were they staying there then?
Yeah, because it's free, and so they will meet someone. And
okay,
so
I understand.
So it's like a surprise. And
now I understand. Okay, I thought you meant that you were greeting people who were staying at
No.
Airbnb. Okay.
It's like a tour. It's,
I see. So people were a little bit surprised or disappointed to be walking around the 16th, but
yes, because they would prefer to be in the Marais or something. But at the same time, many were happy because even they will discover something they never thought about it, or they never know that there are a lot of things to see. And And yes, you don't have in guide a lot of things said about the 16.
Which is weird because it's so big.
It's the biggest one from the land. Also because it's included the Bois de Boulogne.
Okay, that's cheating.
Yeah. But even if you are...
even if you took that out, it would still be the biggest?
Yeah, it's...
You were saying before we started that it's so big that it has 2 postcodes.
Yes.
It has 75016 and 75116.
Yes.
And you told me there's a way of determining who's more posh than the other one.
Yes.
And which one do you live in?
I'm living in the poor one.
The poor?
I am in the poor 16.
Okay, so which one is that?
It's the one on the south.
Does it have the one with the 0 in it?
Yes.
Oh, that's even crueler that they put the less posh one has the 0 in the middle of it.
Yes.
Okay, so how do we, like, the one on the south is, I'm trying to picture it because...
It's close to the river.
Okay. It's funny because you wouldn't think living close to the river in the 16th arrondissement is the poor.
I think there are people who will not agree with me when I said it's a poor 16. But yeah, I think you can feel it's more family and so.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 16, it's you have also, in the 16 also is where there is mostly headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
So you have also a lot of lawyers and doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And you will know that when you are going to a doctor in the 16 that you will pay the max.
How does that... Okay, you're French and you're an expert on all this stuff and you help people with this stuff. I never understand. So in France, if you go to a doctor, there's like a minimum...
Yes.
Like 35 euros or something, is that right?
I think it's 25. But
25 euros. And that's what everyone has to at least pay to go to the doctor, even if it's covered, blah, 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 blah. But some doctors can choose a higher price.
It's when they said they are non-conventionnés.
So they're non-conventional. What does that mean?
Yeah. I don't know exactly, but they are. They give them the right to charge more.
Okay, so when you're booking a doctor online or whatever, if they say non-conventionné...
Yes, you have to check or to call them to be sure.
Is that what French people do? You ring them up and say, okay, I understand you're non-conventional, but how non-conventional are you? And they say, I'm 80 euros.
Yeah, that's
Does
something
it go
you
that
can...
high? Is it like...
yeah, for instance, for some specialists, it could be double or more.
Wow.
Also for dentists.
Yeah.
It's when you are doing something simple, it can cost you 3 times.
It's so weird because I don't feel... people might laugh at me now, but I don't feel like I ever learned this stuff when I moved to Paris 6 years ago. And I think I only heard this for the first time really recently. And whenever I've booked a doctor, which luckily is very, very seldom in 6 years... I don't even check. I just pay whatever they say.
Yeah, but you could be looking forward. There are some people who are looking forward to have a conventionné, and so you can find maybe with your mutuelle. Yeah. Maybe they give you a list, or there is way to check. But that's
the things we learn. The things that we learn. Okay, back to the 16th. You mentioned before museums that were particularly good. I assume the main one is the Marmottan.
Yeah, it's not the one I prefer because, like French people, we are a bit fed up of impressionism everywhere.
Why?
Because it was, I love Monet.
Yeah.
Don't mistake about that. I love Monet, and my parents live very close from Giverny, so...
I think we just pause to explain to people at home who don't know what we're talking about. The Marmottan Museum is the...
Impressionist.
Just beautiful, lots of Monet, more than probably any other museum... No, maybe, it's kind of an impressionist museum.
Yes.
Okay.
And every exhibition will be about this 19th centuries. Yeah. And sometimes they made some combination with modern things.
But you don't care for it. You're dumb.
No. I like it, and I am very fan of exhibition. I think I'm seeing all of them all the time. I have a list of exhibition to see on the date when it's over. Yeah. But yes, at a point you need some new stuff, and in the Palais de Tokyo is great. It's very unusual and very nice. And the one from the Modern Art of Paris is also they remodeled it recently, and I haven't been there since they opened it again. And the one I love is the Cité du Patrimoine.
Oh, I don't know that one.
It's a Trocadero. You have at the left when you have the Eiffel Tower in front of you. On the left.
Okay.
It's you have to see that because it's all the French.
Is that even I feel like that's the 8th district. I feel like
No, it's 16.
There's so many
16.
treasures to find over here. Okay. But what about something that I really want to talk about is the architecture.
Because in the 16, it was like empty field, and so the architect have the possibility to experiment things.
I see. Do you mean because Paris was so much smaller before?
Yeah, because the 16 is in part of Paris since 1860.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from the beginning it was meant to be for rich people because they were already there for like the second house, maison de campagne, was in the 16 because it was outside the city. And so they built like a big hotel particulier. And then with the time, a lot of architects made like experiment there, and they made crazy things. So I think you already mentioned this one, or you have been to the Guimard Castel Béranger, you know, and so you have a lot of Art Nouveau in the 16.
So you mentioned Castel Béranger, and this Hector Guimard was kind of. I read something before we met now. He was. They called him something funny, like he was the grandfather of Art Nouveau or something like that.
Yeah, in France, it's like in Belgium you have Horta, and he was very inspired by him because I think he spent some time in Brussels. And in France, it's like the Gaudi in Spain.
Right.
You know, because he did a lot of building in the 16, a lot. And but he did also some other things, and more specifically, he did the metro in France.
Of course.
All the metropolitan entrance from Paris was from him, but now I think they destroy many of them.
There's certainly someone, at least one person listening right now, who goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. Art Nouveau, metro entrances. Are you able to describe what we're talking about here?
Yeah, that's end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. Yeah, that's it. It's like architecture movement, trend.
Sure.
I don't think it lasts very long. I think it was only 30 years or so. And Art Nouveau is, they said Art Nouveau because I think it was in comparison to what the classical the time of Napoleon and the Haussmannian building that was very strict, and there it was completely changed. And now many people like it because it's very close to the vegetation, so to the organic and
like you mean like I've seen there's lots of grapes or
or animals and
and
it's funny and it's I think it's nice to look at them, but at that time for many people it was disturbing. And the Castel Béranger, there is a fun word when because the name was Castel Béranger, and people were saying Castel Déranger, like disturb.
Yeah, wow.
So
the thing is with that, I went there but long ago, like when I first started this show, like as in one of the first episodes, and I didn't really appreciate it or understand it. We were looking for it. I remember actually, it was the season finale for season 1, and we were trying to go and visit 20 things in one day. Anyone listening who knows what I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm talking about? I know you've listened for a while. And we got to the door. It was like the last thing we saw. We're like, okay, weird door. Let's move on. I didn't appreciate it, but I understand that building. I haven't been back since. The whole building is really... Yes,
because we are the one on the front of the street, but we are three behind.
Right.
It's like
courtyard?
Yes, they are like a free building, and everything was made from the architect. Even inside, they were decorated on the furniture.
Really?
And
like the door handles,
and everything. And now they protect the building, like they said it's museum. It's like protect building.
Historical monument.
Exactly. But it was too late to protect the inside.
I see. Okay. How interesting. Have you been inside there?
No, but I made a tour with a teacher from architect, and she said she was lucky to go inside because she saw that one flat was to sell. And she went
That's
to see
clever.
it. But I don't think it's happened very frequently because they are, I think they are quite valuable, and people try to.
I bet I can get inside there. I bet it's possible somehow.
Yeah, maybe.
Sneak inside?
yes.
Or is it more of a question of knowing someone inside?
Maybe that. I think I heard that some people were lucky to meet someone who was
If I
willing.
stand around out the
Yes.
front with like a ski mask on my face in the middle of the night, it can't be that difficult, right? When we do this walk in the 16th, that's going to be on the walk, right?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, well, we try and sneak in then.
Yes.
Are you're
It
not
wa-
afraid of...
No, I'm doing that
Yeah,
also.
you do the same? Okay.
Maybe I try to, it's very close to where I'm living.
Really?
Actually, I'm living on a street where the third, three quarter of the street are Guimard building.
Really?
Yes, it was because the Castel Béranger is one of his first building.
I read that there was like some rich lady who said... 'cause
Yes.
he was young, right?
She said, I give you a blank card.
Yeah.
You do
Carte
whatever
blanche.
you want, carte
Carte-
blanche.
Yeah, I give you a carte blanche, do what you want. And he would have been a young architect.
Yes.
And he just went, okay, I'm going to go crazy here.
Yes.
Forget houseman, I want to do my own thing, right? What a lucky architect.
Yes, and it was...
I bet there was something happening between the two of them.
Maybe she was a rich widow, because
Yeah.
of the in the 15,
Yeah.
it's where the industry were,
Right.
and so people don't want to live where the industry and the dust and everything. So they live.
Jumped across the river.
Yes,
I
and
see.
that's why there are a lot of rich industrial people who were living in the
How
16.
fascinating. I want to ask, I think I interrupted you and I was just...
No, don't.
I got caught up in thinking about Hector Guimard and the rich old widow in the 16th arrondissement. But back to the 16th for a sec. I got another question that I've become a little bit obsessed with these coupoles. Is that what they're called in French?
Yes.
Is that what you call it?
Une coupole, yes.
Une coupole. Une coupole. What's the deal with those things? Do you know?
I think it's also like an architect kind of fancy.
I have to explain what they are for people who don't know. They're like domed rooftops on the top of many buildings, especially in the 60s.
Yes. I think it's like a remember of the castle because it looks like a
It
castle.
does. I can see one there, look.
Yes,
Two.
yes.
But they're not as good in the 7th as they are in the 16th.
Yeah.
They're really
Because
something special.
it's like a half of one.
Yeah.
The 16 they are very tall building and it's for me it's like it was a castle before and we want to remember of that. It's something I invented. I have no idea if it's
Is that what it means when it says Castel Béranger? Is it like a castle? Is that the...
no, I don't think it.
It's just
No, because it's not. This one is not like a castle.
No.
It's more because it's like a free building.
Yeah, okay. We've got to go check that out. That's high on my list of things to do. I know there are so many other things worth seeing in the 16th. You mentioned an unusual German monument.
Yeah, it's a gift of Germany to France.
Is that what it is? Can you
Yes.
explain more?
I think it was. I don't remember exactly, but it was like an anniversary of the radio or something. I don't remember. It makes sense, but I forgot exactly. And it's Berlin who offer a piece of the wall of.
And
of
so
Berlin.
a big like
It's like you can see it's the bit. It's the way they did it. They put some block,
yeah.
and it's one block.
So it's like one block of the Berlin
Yes.
Wall, about 3 meters, 10 feet high, just standing in the middle of a garden.
Yes, and it's very funny because you can clearly know where the west and where the east was.
How come? Why? What do you mean?
Because on the west you have a lot of graffiti.
Oh, really?
Yes,
I've gotta
and
go and check that out
on
again.
on the east.
That's so interesting. It feels like there's so much going on in the 16th that I haven't even thought about. Maybe we can round things out with you telling the listeners some other things worth visiting in the 16th. What can you recommend? Or have you said them all already?
No. If you like architect, because we talk about Art Nouveau, but there is also Corbusier, like a Fondation Corbusier. And you can go inside, and it's very impressive because it was the same a bit later, but almost the same time as the Art Nouveau or Art Deco, and it's so different. And there is also a very nice area is Mallet Stevens is the street, and you have the feeling to be in California.
Hang on, what's it called? Mallet Stevens?
Yes.
How do you spell that?
It's in 2 words. It's an architect, quite famous at the time. Is Mallet is M-A-L-E-E-T.
M-A-L-L-E-T, Mallet.
And Stevens,
Okay.
like Stevens.
Wow, that sounded like a different language for it. Mallet Stevens. Okay, and is that like where is that?
In the close to the edge of Bois de Boulogne,
Okay.
and close to Ranelagh and Jasmin. It's between Ranelagh and Jasmin.
Okay, so many things to explore over there. What else is there?
If you like to have a walk mid in the wood and mid in the city, is Petite Ceinture is nice.
What's
to
the
walk
Petite Ceinture?
It's an old track of the before to have the metro and to have the peripheric.
Right.
We have a train around Paris.
Basically around the whole, just
Yes.
inside the peripheric,
Yes.
this big train line that's now mostly abandoned,
Yes.
half hidden.
Yeah, I think it was in function till 1960 or something. And now they made a green pass.
Okay.
Like they have some, they made some for kids, some educational
I see.
things, and so like Maison des Insectes.
Really? And is this bit that you're talking about, is that where it's like, is it all dog walking, or have they actually made it into...
There is a dog part,
Yeah.
but there is another one with the longer trunk that is started for Porte d'Auteuil and going to Ranelagh. Between the Gare d'Auteuil with a restaurant now, and to the famous restaurant in the 16th is La Gare. It's very trendy and nice to have a brunch.
Expensive?
Yeah, in 16 everything is a bit more expensive, but it's nice because you have there is a dining room and the below where the track went. And it's a huge ceiling, and it's a nice atmosphere.
This is something that I must explore. I think...
For a drink also very good.
Sure. It feels like the 16th for me is the one part of Paris that I really don't know. You know, so I'm quite excited to be living nearby so that I can go and
yes, you are very close now.
But on that note, I'm going to finish on this. You and I are going to do a walk for the Patreon members, of which you are a Patreon member.
Yes, I am.
You have been for a long time, I think.
Yes, I think so.
You were at the embassy. You were at the embassy?
Yes,
right?
I was at the embassy.
What do you think?
I think I was a much Patreon for 1 week when I went to the embassy.
So you signed up to get into the Australian embassy?
No, but I told you I just discovered, and
right.
I listened all the episodes in 2 weeks.
That's right. Yeah. Do you want to say what your favorite was, or is that?
I have many favorites, but I like the one about Notre Dame and I think the mayor of the now is Maire du Marais. Or
yeah. Now he's mayor of 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
Do you have a least favorite episode? Would you say it? I don't mind.
No, I don't think I have.
Whenever someone tells me when they email and say I've listened to every single episode, I always ask them what their favorite is, and I sometimes ask them what their least favorite is. And so far, no one has ever really given me an answer for their least favorite.
No.
And I don't think it's because there's not bad episodes, because there surely are. It's more, I think people are very polite.
Yeah, but maybe we normally our brain is very used to remember the bad things, but in this case, I don't remember. I remember one, but for me it was more difficult about play words because it was mostly in English.
One, yeah.
But there is a lot of play words in France.
Yeah.
I am not very good, but I like them. And I remember your last video on the 7 when you went to for the sunset.
Mm-hmm.
You went to Rue Claire, and it was a shop. You spoke a lot of shop, and it was a shop who were selling vegetables, and the name was Harry Cover. Like
That's right, Harry Cover.
That's a
and
play
Lena made
word.
some joke about what's the joke? Oh, haricot vert.
Yes, it was Harry, like the first name,
Yeah.
and then the family name Cover. And they say, okay, nice.
That's so funny. Okay, so for everyone who doesn't get that, the name of the shop in English is Harry Cover. And I think Lena made a joke like, what a stupid name for a shop. Is that what she said? I think she did. Or maybe I did. But now haricot vert is green beans. Haricot vert. Oh.
So it's a funny
It makes me think.
Shopkeeper.
I wrote that in an email fairly recently about in one of my weekly emails. I told a story. I don't know if you read it about there was a restaurant called Sur un arbre perché.
Yes.
Sur un arbre perché.
Sur un arbre
Sur
perché.
un arbre perché, and I know that means perched on a branch.
Yeah.
But I also knew it was from the poem Maître Corbeau and Maître Renard.
Sur un arbre perché.
And there's a statue of him in
yes.
the
Yes,
16th
in the
as well.
Ranlag.
But Ranlag. But the thing that's interesting about Paris and France and probably every country in the world, but when you learn the language better, you can a whole new side of it is open to you, like that haricot vert or sur un arbre perché. So it's exciting for me to know that the city keeps opening up the more that I dig, sort of,
Yeah.
So thanks for clearing that one up for me. I wonder how many other things I just don't get. Anyway, we've gone way off topic. We need to wind things up. Delphine Briere, thank you very much for being on the show.
It was a pleasure.
My pleasure. There you have it, Delphine Briere. She's a Patreon member. You've probably seen her name popping up on comments, live walk shows. Check her out. My French Touch is the name of the company that she works for. So we started talking about the Patreon walk show that we're going to do. I'll just give you a little bit more information about that. This coming Saturday, the 17th of April, it'll be Delphine and me walking around in the 16th arrondissement. She's drawn a map. I've seen it. I know where we're going to go. It's very organized for an Eiffel Tower walk show. We're going to be checking out all of the buildings that she mentioned, including that Castel Béranger. If you want to watch it, you've got to be a Patreon supporter. That's how I make a career out of this show. Hopefully you noticed there weren't any ads at the beginning or at the end, just a shout out for the members. So patreon.com/the Eiffel Tower. You'll see the very top post right now all week will be about the 16th arrondissement. That will have all the information, including the scroll that Eddie, my brother, has made featuring everything from this episode in pictures and in links, and a whole lot more, including some of the amazing apartments, things that you can find, museums to check out. Eddie has put it all together. It's a perk of being a member. Now, speaking of being a member, if you are a patron, you'll see that I put out a huge survey just to see where you guys are all at, what you think about everything and the direction that it's going. And I'm just going to say this to everybody, I suppose. The last question there said, I'll read it to you. How happy are you to be an Eiffel Tower member? And 202 people responded, and the average rating was 9.5. So if you're wondering whether it's worth signing up, if you feel like you've been listening to this podcast for a long time and want to chip in, the short fact is you're going to enjoy it. So patreon.com/the Eiffel Tower. Come and say hello and help me to make this show better. And I'll see you on Saturday late afternoon, for a walk around the 16th. That'll do it for me. Thanks so much to everyone for listening. Hope that you can include the 16th arrondissement on your next trip to Paris. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.